Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into something that sounds really simple, but man, can it be tough in practice. We're talking about Mel Robbins's The Let Them theory.
Yeah, it's deceptively simple, isn't it? We've been looking at a review of her work, and it all kind of circles back to these two little words, let them.
Right, let them.
And the idea is basically to stop. Stop pouring all your energy into trying to control what other people do or think or feel.
Which we all do, right?
Oh, constantly. And instead, you consciously, deliberately bring that focus back to yourself, what you can control.
Exactly. So our mission here, for you listening, is to really unpack this. We want to see how getting this let them thing into your head, maybe into your daily routine, could genuinely give you back some personal power.
Mm-hmm. And maybe, just maybe, cut down on some of that day-to-day stress. The stress that comes from trying to basically run everyone else's show.
Totally. Okay, so let's start with the problem she points out. This human need almost to be in control of things and people.
Yeah, and it's like deeply wired, it seems. Robbins makes this point that a lot of our unhappiness doesn't actually come from what happens to us.
Okay.
It comes from us fighting against how things are, especially how people are. Like wishing they'd just be different. The way we think they should be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about your day. How often do you catch yourself wishing your boss, your partner, your kids, even that guy driving too slowly, would just act differently?
All the time. It's like we're trying to direct a play where none of the actors got our script.
Huh. Exactly. And we get so frustrated when they don't say our lines.
Right. And the review we looked at really emphasizes the cost of that. It's exhausting.
Yeah. It's like this constant internal struggle.
Yeah.
You're pushing and pulling mentally, trying to force an outcome you probably have, let's be honest, very little real control over.
And that leads straight to feeling frustrated, maybe even resentful.
Definitely. Which brings us right to the core idea. Let them.
Mm-hmm. It's the alternative path. And it's not about being passive or giving up exactly. It's more about acceptance.
Acceptance of what, specifically?
Well, acceptance that everyone else is operating from their own world. Their own experiences, their own fears, their own logic, whatever it is.
Okay.
And ultimately, they're going to make their own choices. And those choices, they might not line up with what we want or what we think makes sense.
So let them means letting them make those choices, even the wrong ones, from our perspective.
Pretty much. It's about recognizing, okay, that's their decision to make. It's like mentally stepping back from the role of chief manager of everyone else's life.
Right. And I think it's important to stress, like you said, this isn't apathy. It's not like you stop caring.
No, not at all.
It's more about respecting their autonomy, their right to figure things out themselves, even if it looks messy from the outside.
Exactly. It's an active recognition of reality, not just passive resignation. And the review really highlighted the feeling of liberation that comes with this.
Liberation how?
Just think of all the mental energy you free up when you stop trying to constantly anticipate, manage, and react to every little thing someone else does or doesn't do.
That makes sense. You're not running that mental marathon anymore.
Right, and this isn't just for, family arguments either. The review points out this applies everywhere.
Like at work.
Oh, definitely at work. In relationships, obviously. Even with our own goals sometimes, when we get caught up in thinking others should be helping us more or differently.
Yeah, I can see that. Like in relationships, trying to change your partner. That almost never ends well, does it?
Rarely. Robbins apparently argues that trying to force change just builds walls. It makes people defensive, erodes trust.
It's totally counterproductive. You end up damaging the very thing you're trying to fix or improve.
Exactly. Which leads us kind of naturally to the flip side. Because it can't just be about letting them do whatever. What about us?
Right, there has to be a me part in this somewhere. It's not just let them, it's also...
Let me. That's the crucial other half. This is where the empowerment really kicks in.
Okay, so let me means...
It means taking all that energy you were spending trying to control the uncontrollable and deliberately turning it inward, focusing on what you actually can control, your reactions, your choices, your actions.
So instead of feeling like things are just happening to you because of what someone else did.
Exactly. You shift into thinking, okay, this is the situation. What am I going to do about it? How am I going to respond? You take back the steering wheel.
That feels much more powerful. It's moving from that, if only they would, kind of thinking.
Yeah, the victim mentality, sort of.
To a more proactive, okay, given this, I will, mindset. It's putting control back where it belongs. Inside yourself.
And Robbins apparently draws a really clear line here. There's self-control, which is achievable, right? We can work on managing our own thoughts and actions. And then there's the illusion of controlling others, which is mostly, well, an illusion. We spend so much energy chasing it.
When the real power lies within our own domain, our internal state. Something else from the review that really struck me was this idea about perspective.
Ah, yes. The everyone has their own lens idea.
Yeah, like we're all looking at the same world, but through different colored glasses. So what seems baffling or illogical to us
might make perfect sense to them, given their unique history, their fears, their hopes, all that stuff.
Exactly. Their choices fit within their frame of reference, even if it clashes with ours.
And understanding that, really understanding it, that's huge for empathy, isn't it?
Definitely.
It lets you kind of step back and say, okay, I don't get it, maybe I don't agree with it, but I can see it's their perspective. It lowers the temperature.
Yeah, it makes it easier to let go of needing them to see it exactly like you do, which is kind of the whole point of let them, right?
Right. Less friction, more understanding.
Okay, so let's get practical. People listening are probably thinking, okay, sounds good, but how do I actually do this? Like day to day, what are the tools?
Well, the review mentioned a few key things. First step is just awareness, noticing.
Noticing when you're trying to control things.
Yeah. Catching yourself in the act. Feeling that internal, why are they doing it that way? Or they really should. That little flare-up of frustration is often the signal.
Okay, so you spot the urge, then what?
Then you consciously practice the phrase, let them. You can say it in your head. It's like a little mental circuit breaker.
Let them just acknowledge their autonomy in that moment.
Exactly. Acknowledge it, accept it, and deliberately release your grip on trying to manage their outcome or their feelings. It's like letting out a breath you didn't know you were holding.
And then, crucially, you follow it up with the let me part.
Right. You redirect. Okay, I've let them handle their side. Now what's my response? What's within my control here? My attitude. My next action.
So it's that constant pivot. Recognize the urge to control, say let them, then pivot to let me focus on my own response.
And doing that repeatedly, consciously, starts to break those old, ingrained habits of trying to micromanage the world.
Okay, but here's a potential staking point. Boundaries. Does let them mean you just let people walk all over you? Like you become a doormat?
Ah, good question. And no, definitely not. The review was clear on this. Let them is not about tolerating disrespect or harmful behavior.
So how do those two things fit together? Letting them be, but also having boundaries.
It's about separating their choices from your standards. You let them make their choices, whatever they may be. That's their sphere.
Okay.
But you get to decide what your boundaries are, what's acceptable to you in your life and your interactions.
So it's like saying you can choose to act that way. That's your right under the let them principle. But my boundary, the let me part, says that if you act that way, I will respond in this specific way to protect my well-being. Maybe I'll limit contact or leave the situation.
Exactly. You define your non-negotiables based on your values. Their choices are theirs. Your boundaries dictate how you engage with those choices. It's about self-protection, not controlling them.
Gotcha. That makes a lot more sense. It's respecting their autonomy while fiercely protecting your own.
Precisely.
So if people listening start practicing this let them, let me mindset, what are the payoffs? What changes might they actually see?
Well, the review suggests quite a few positive outcomes. First off, more internal peace. Just less wrestling with reality, you know?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Improved relationships, potentially.
Yeah.
Because you're interacting with more respect for individuality, less trying to force things.
Right. Less conflict, maybe?
Possibly. Also, a greater sense of your own agency, because you're putting your energy where it actually has an effect on yourself.
And less stress. Please say less stress.
Definitely less stress was highlighted. Taking that burden of managing everyone else off your shoulders is huge.
Man, peace, better relationships, more agency, less stress. It's a compelling package.
It really is. It's like reclaiming all this bandwidth you're using, trying to control the uncontrollable.
And what do you do with that bandwidth?
You reinvest it in yourself, your goals, your happiness, your well-being. It also potentially leads to more authentic relationships.
And how so?
Because you're dealing with people as they actually are, not who you're trying to make them be. And you're living more in line with your values, not getting constantly derailed by external stuff you can't control anyway.
So the big takeaway here for everyone tuning in seems to be about understanding where your real power lies. It's not in trying to bend others to your will. It's in mastering yourself, your responses, your choices, and finding the freedom really, and accepting that everyone else gets to run their own lives.
Yeah, let them be them.
So you can be you.
Yeah.
Without carrying the weight of the world or at least the weight of everyone else's decisions.
Which brings us to a final thought, maybe something for you to mull over after this.
Yeah.
Think about one area in your life right now. Just one.
Okay.
Where are you putting significant energy into trying to control someone else? Or maybe a specific outcome involving them? Really picture it. Now ask yourself, what might happen if you consciously applied let them in that specific situation? Just mentally step back and say, let them. How might that shift things for you? And critically, where could you reinvest that energy in your own life instead?